All right,
Okay.
we're recording. Let's go ahead and broadcast. And we'll give it a minute for people to start hopping on, and we'll do a sound check and make sure that everyone can hear us well.
Great.
All right, let's see here. Hi, Jen. Hey, Solange and Joan, Vicki. Hi, guys. All right, I see people coming on, some of my students. Hey, Rebecca. Okay, so can you guys can hear me okay? We're gonna do our usual quick sound check here. If you guys will give me a yes, we're good. Thank you, Solange. Appreciate it. So I have a little bit of a quick announcement. It is black as night outside right now. We are in the throes in Clarksville right now of a major thunderstorm, like to the point where the tree is very dangerously close to my window, like just this second, you guys. So if we lose signal for any reason at all, please stay put and give me a minute to move into another room. Robert, you stay put as well, because when my signal drops down, you guys stay connected, but I can get back on and you guys can still be there. So if we have any interruption in that, it's because I'm like hoping we don't have a tornado. I'm not kidding. So anyway, with that said, I see everybody's still continuing to come on. If you have to leave early for any reason, as you all know, I do the recordings. Those will go out within 24 hours. It will live in the Institute and the Health Coach Mentorship Mastery page and the platform. So no worries if you have to hop up early at all, but we'd love to have you until the very end. So a proper introduction of Robert for you guys today. Robert Notter is founder of Robert Notter Coaching. He supports health and wellness professionals to take the mystery out of marketing so they know how to confidently earn money and grow a profitable business doing what they love. He's worked with and lectured over 90,000 entrepreneurs internationally and partnered with numerous organizations, including the Lincoln Center, New York Open Center, the Swedish Institute, Maryland University of Integrative Health, the Javits Center, and Beacon Theater. He's also developed and led the business development and marketing education program for the Institute for Integrative Nutrition, which is, he's no longer there, so no crossover with the Institute for Functional Health Coaching and the Institute of Integrative Nutrition. I have to put that out there for my students who are wondering. But welcome. So happy to have you with us today, Robert, and cannot wait to see what you're going to bring to us today.
Thank you. Well, I'm really honored to be here. And I just, for me, as you and I have spoken before, there are so many coaches out there who go to other places, which we don't need to name, but who really just don't always get what they need. And I think it's just so wonderful that you have the opportunity to help people fill in the gaps and make a big difference in their work with their clients. And I love that we're connecting and supporting each other. And I'm so happy to see all of you, all of your students and the community. And, that's what I love to do, is help coaches and healers and wellness professionals to get out there and figure out, how can I actually believe that this can happen? What steps can I take from a practical way so that my business keeps working for me? But how do I really show up as the person I want to become? And so we're going to talk today a bit about mindset and help you kind of get really clear on what's happening right now, and then really start to pair that a bit with some list building tips. Because I think really the golden rules of marketing are, how do you get people to the door? It's like planning a dinner party. You got to know when the guests are coming, what you're going to serve them, and how do you get them to say, hey, I'm interested. But what really makes it click is the fact that you have to have your mind on board, because I can give you all the best tips. Carmen can teach you how to close the deal. We can all help you do all these great things. But if you sit there thinking, oh, well, just don't know if it's going to work, I don't know if anybody's going to want this, then guess what? You're going to get exactly what you think you're going to get. I think, Carmen, you would agree with me on that, right?
100%. I preach it and you preach it. And that is absolutely true. And I'm all about fake it till you make it sometimes. If you aren't there in your belief in yourself, you just pretend you are until it happens. And that's kind of what happened for me. So I get it. I get the mindset issue. I've been there before. I'm sure you probably can relate, because we didn't get here by being born confident. We have to learn this in our business, right?
Absolutely. And I think that for me, I have lots of stuff that happened for me. Insecurities. When I was a kid, I was really shy. I was bullied, picked on, and I was taught, oh, if you raise your hand, you're going to get made fun of. So we have all these tapes that we bring with us into our adult life. And I remember when I left my corporate job all those years ago, and I live in Manhattan, as you can imagine, right? I can see Times Square from my window. Paying rent in New York when you leave your 6-figure corporate job to be a coach, it's like, what's going to happen? So I had to look at all my stuff. I think actually Oprah Winfrey once said that if you want to look at your stuff, become an entrepreneur, because it all comes out.
Yes, that's so true. You're absolutely right. And when you say that, you say if when the stuff comes up, you better be willing to look at it too. Don't let it come up and run away from it. Look at it and see what's there. That's the message, right?
And frankly, if you don't look at it, it's just going to keep coming up, and then it's going to get worse and going to get worse and going to get worse. And, we share a fondness for Louise Hay, and she always says that, our challenges and our things that go wrong, they're really lessons and they're masters for us, because they teach us where we need to look next. But you're going to keep getting the same challenge over and over unless you do something about it. That's what I'm going to share with a lot of you here in the presentation today. So.
Absolutely. Well, go ahead and go for it.
Okay,
go ahead and share your screen, and I'll let you know. I'll give you the heads up that we're good when we see the screen, and we'll let you roll with it. Awesome. We're good. See how simple that is.
All right. So listen, here's the thing. A lot of us think that we have to fix our marketing and then everything's going to be fine. But in fact, and listen, I've worked with almost 100,000 entrepreneurs in my business so far. And I can tell you that the first step to moving forward successfully is not about trying to push forward with your marketing or making your newsletter. Because if you're not showing up, nothing's going to change. And that's really what it comes down to, is that we have, these doubts. And I love this picture. It kind of makes me laugh. It's like, we want to get to this goal, but here's this self-doubt that gets in the way. Maybe it would be easier to start with, why don't you put some of that self-doubt down in essence, or why don't you look at what you need to look at so you can lessen your load a little bit and really move forward successfully. And, if someone had told me actually, and I'm sure it's the same for you, Carmen, like 15 years ago, we'd be doing what we're doing and changing the world. I mean, I was stuck, I used that word, stuck at a computer programmer, all those years ago. And, for me, honestly, I think it's been such a blessing to get to help people. But I had to look at a lot of my stuff, along the way, because frankly, you take you with you wherever you go. And if you're showing up to your business carrying a bunch of worries and doubts and, no one's going to want it, I'm not good enough. And I would always compare myself to other coaches who were doing better than I. And I did that when I was a kid, though. As I mentioned, I was bullied. So I was always kind of comparing myself to the kids who had more money. Or, I can't dribble a basketball to save my life. And I'm from Indiana. My skills were gardening and science and animals. And by the way, if you see two cats jump across the screen, don't worry. They're here. They love to be on camera as well. But I think that's the thing, really. It's just about, you have to let things unfold, and you have to start with where you are right now. And now I feel really blessed that I have such a wonderfully successful business, both financially and from my freedom of what I get to do. But I think for me, I don't go to bed at night thinking, how many clients am I going to sign up to? I go to bed thinking about how blessed I feel that I've helped so many people. Mm-hmm. And I used to be a health coach all those years ago, but why I now became, and why for the past 15 years I've been teaching entrepreneurs how to actually find clients and grow their businesses, because I feel if I can help you and your students and other coaches and healers out there to get out there and find more clients, then it's really exponential and things really come together so much easier. So
you get a bigger reach. Really cool. You open your reach, right? By you teaching them and me teaching them, and then them helping others and those people helping others. I mean, we're just expanding our reach this way.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's the really important part to consider, is that we're making a difference. And so I want to cover some really cool mindset tips for you today and give you some first steps to be thinking about. Of course, this is a process, but I'm really happy I made this just for all of you, Carmen, and your people. I made there's a few bonuses you'll see here, but some of the slides I'm going to cover today in this really lovely workbook that I had my web designer create. So you can just go to that link exactly as it is, tinyurl.com, and then /IFHC-gift. There's no .html, there's no www. You type it in exactly like that. And what I'm going to give you is a workbook that you can look at it after we do the presentation. And also I have another whole webinar for you. And another special gift is that I recently hosted a retreat here in New York City, which was sold out. We hosted it all around the world. It's no longer available. And I'm going to give Carmen and your people access to one huge chunk of the presentation, which I give like guided meditation. It's about how to connect to your money mindset, and also even tips on how to create your programs. So I'm giving that as a gift to your community. So that's the link you can get it at. So and you'll get a screen right away with the workbook, and you'll also get an email with that as well. So
yes, and all of that will be included in the replay, you guys. Yeah. So and everything will be loaded in, and everything will be included. So no worries.
Don't you love technology, Carmen? How would we have done this 20 years ago without having? We'd have to be on the phone, emailing something by hand, or sending it in the mail.
I know. It's like driving. Like, how did we drive without navigation? Like,
I know.
I mean, I don't know. My son and I talked about it on our trip to Yosemite last week, where he was like, how did people do this? I said, we had maps.
We had a map. The Random Valley Atlas.
Yes.
So I like this chart because I want people to think about it this way. So here's what happens in our minds. We have a goal we want to work on. And then we say, okay, like I'm going to, call a referral partner to build my business. And then we have a belief, though, that says, gosh, maybe I don't know enough. And then that triggers a feeling. So we feel bad. Then we trigger another thought. So we get caught in this like cycle here of like, oh, I can't do it, or it's not going to work, or oh, it didn't work last time I did it. So what happens is these beliefs, and really this is the key that in the middle here is these emotions, these thoughts. It's like this cycle, because when you think something bad or worry about something, then it creates a feeling in the body. Then it creates another thought that supports that feeling. And then what it does, it influences your actions, which influence your results. you want to change something, you're going to have to really get in there and change those beliefs and thoughts. But here's the thing is that we have all this stuff coming at us. So, I mean, I don't watch TV personally. I'm sure you probably don't either, Carmen, because of all the news and the negativity and, but all this stuff keeps coming at us and we're just always programmed to, we're not good enough. There's never enough. You can't be this. You can't be that. We have all this stuff, this collections of things that have happened to us. And what happens then is you see, you hear, and do things through experience over and over, and it gets stored in your brain. And then as you keep experiencing these things, you form these beliefs and habits. So what happens then is it's almost like there's this unconscious pattern in your mind that becomes your operating system. Mm-hmm. So what it is that, as you think something over and over, or maybe you experience a few rejections from the client who said they don't want to pay you, or you don't know enough, those actually become physiological patterns in the brain. They become biochemical patterns. You wire your brain based on thinking the same thing over and over. And I love this kind of stuff, like neuroplasticity.
Yes.
Wired. I mean, if any of you can, you really should Google neuroplasticity, and there's some really cool documentaries on Netflix. And the thing is, when you think the same thing over and over and over, your brain actually creates a physical connection in your neurons in your brain. So if you're sitting at your computer and you're eating some really healthy food, but you're thinking negative thoughts, the healthy food is actually going in to reinforce your negative thoughts.
Yes.
And you know all about food, Carmen. That's your thing, and you know how to tell people with that. As do I. And that's the thing, though, that you are what you eat. And I want to take that further and say, you think what you eat, because what you're thinking about is where your brain goes and stores it. So that's the thing, my friends. If you're kind of doing the same thing over and over and you're expecting different results, I mean, isn't that the definition of insanity, right? So you have to change what you're thinking about. So here's kind of what happens. So if you're going to get the same old results, you keep thinking familiar thoughts, you keep making the same decisions that your thoughts are reinforcing. That just really influences the same habits and actions. And really what happens then is sometimes lack of success actually becomes a program habit in your behavioral systems in your brain. So when you're thinking the same stuff over and over, like I don't know enough, or other students in Carmen's program, they're already doing better than me and I will never be able to do that. I know she's going to be like, hey, snap out of it. She'd be like Sharon Moonstruck. She'd be like, you can do this.
Yeah.
That's the thing though, is that you're going to keep getting the same experiences and feel the same feelings and getting the same results. Unless you start to think about different things, you start to let those different thoughts influence better decisions in your business. And then you begin to have new actions and habits that are aligned with that. And then you create better experiences and you're going to have better feelings and much better results. And it's interesting because a lot of times people will say like, do positive affirmations and all this stuff. But if you're feeling, you can stand in the mirror and say, hey, I'm making 6 figures this year. But if inside you feel, oh, I don't feel in alignment with that, guess what? The universe will not bring it to you. I mean, this is going to be very esoteric for a second, but really it all comes down to vibrations. Mm-hmm. And when you're in vibrational harmony with the success you want to attract from your mind and your body and your feelings, you will get it. But if you are not in alignment, you're going to get the same thing over and over. And when you tell yourself you can't or won't, listen, do I get scared? Every time I do something new, I get horrified. I'll tell you. I mean, it's a little better now than it was when I was younger, but even my retreat that I had in New York a few weeks ago was sold out, broadcast online. And people are like, oh, Robert, it just comes so naturally to you. Listen, call my mom. She can tell you. I got my stuff just like everyone does. But what makes people like me and Carmen and those of you who are here with us today different is that in spite of our fears and worries or doubts, we do it anyway.
Yes. Yes, 100%. And I like, this is, what you just said a moment ago, and you're talking about neuroplasticity and the neural pathways and things like that. I always tell my students and the people that I mentor, I talk about how the old cart and horse theory, if you take the cart and the horse down the same path to the farm every single day, those grooves are going to get very deep. And, and it's the same thing with the brain. So if you want to make a change in the direction that you're going, you got to get the cart and the horse out of those grooves and create a new path.
Yeah.
So that you can think differently, so things can feel differently. It sounds super simple, but it's very difficult. We know that, right? We know that it's hard to change those old habits. But once we turn around the dialogue and we say, you know what, it's not difficult, it's easy, I'm going to make this simple, things can start to shift.
And that's the thing too, is that, our brain is biologically and genetically programmed to keep us flight or fight, out of harm. And it keeps us wanting to do the same things we know. But everything in your life that you want is just outside your comfort zone. And listen, I left a 6-figure job in New York with a lot of rent right near Times Square to pursue what my heart told me I needed to do. And ultimately, I like this picture here because right in this very moment, you have the choice to either keep doing things based on what you were doing, which keeps you getting the same results, or you can actually take steps based on the future you want to get something that's different. And I always tell my clients and my students to think and act and speak like the entrepreneur that you want to become, and imagine what they would do. I was actually reading something, I think, from, maybe it was Madonna or maybe Beyonce or someone, about how they would like pretend they were already at the gig they wanted to have, even when they were carrying their, like Madonna used to carry her tapes around New York, had hardly enough money to buy popcorn to eat to live on, but she knew she wanted it and she was not giving up. My nephew, he's a Lady Gaga dancer. He dances for Lady Gaga. And he said, Uncle Rob, I knew that I wanted what I wanted, and I never let that vision out of my mind. And that's the thing, is you got to look at what you want to create and stop doing what you used to do. And Carmen and I obviously are here to help you. You're in an amazing program with her support. But here's what it comes down to. There's the current you, your current personality, getting the same results, you know, and then there's the new you that you want to have. But basically, it all comes down to your thoughts and your actions and your feelings. It's the magical triad. And it's not by coincidence that a lot of spiritual traditions have the, you know, three things, the, you know, the three triad, the Father, Son, Holy Ghost, whatever. And really, that's a metaphor for me, a very spiritual metaphor about your thoughts, your actions, and your feelings. And all that really, a bigger picture is really, if I were to put a circle around this chart, it would be connection to the universe, because when you're tapped into your, whatever your beliefs are, you know, God, universe, your higher level of intuition and consciousness, you tap into that flow, and the universe always gives you what you want. And the universe does not distinguish between good or bad. I mean, I'm not going to talk about politics, but I think we can see some examples of what's going on in the world right now, that if you're really clear on what you want and you're in alignment with that intention, you get it. So if you want to have new success and a new future, certainly seek out mentoring and support and training like you're doing with Carmen, and obviously I'm honored to be helping you today. And it comes down to changing your thoughts and your actions and your feelings, which is really connected to your emotional state. Because you have to begin to feel differently to attract new results. Because you're sitting down, writing your newsletter and thinking, oh, everyone's going to love it, but you're feeling inside, no, it's not going to work, or feeling bad, you will not change anything. It really comes down to your feelings. So you have this already. So those of you joining late, that's the link to get the chart I just mentioned.
And I put it in the chat too. So it's in the chat. People can click right on it and add it to their bookmarks.
Perfect. And then here's some steps for you to be thinking about for your mindset. So basically, before I get into what to do, I want to just remind you. So in this very moment, you're sitting here, and what is it? It's, you know, I'm in New York City, Carmen's in Tennessee. It's like, it's whatever time zone you're in. But in my belief, and this is a very, again, metaphysical thing, but there is just this infinite opportunity of things we can do. I mean, think about it. If I walk down the street now and I turn left instead of turning right onto 10th Avenue, I live right near the Hudson River, and I run into like the partner of my dreams. But if I turn right, I never ran into that person. Or I happen to get on the subway late by accident and I sit next to someone who is a total ideal client and I happen to get on. So there's all these infinite number of possibilities of things that can happen to you. But the only thing you're in control of is how you choose what you choose to do in this very present moment. And the first step to making anything different in your life, in your business, is knowing that you are in charge of your reality. And I mean, think about it too. Whenever I sit down and I'm worried about something or I'm getting nervous to do something, I look at like a picture of the solar system and I realize we're this tiny, 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 tiny little sand in this infinite, vast, never-ending reality of possibilities for us in the universe. And as a very spiritual person, I'm also a very practical person. So you got to take the steps. You know, I always joke, like, I'm going to write a book called The Secret to the Secret. It's getting off your ass and doing something about it.
Yeah.
And that's really what it comes down to. And Carmen, I think you know too that, you know, you can think all the happy thoughts you want, but if you're going to sit at home waiting for the right time, nothing's going to change.
Right.
So that's what it comes down to, is you got to pair your action with also having support, with changing how you're feeling and becoming aware of what you're doing. And I tell my clients, here's some great, easy, but also complicated, because you're going to overthink it, steps. But really, it comes down to very simple things. Start to become a conscious observer of what you're thinking about. So when I sit down to work on something, I let my feelings be my guide. So when I'm sitting down, for example, I was working on, you know, we did a YouTube live of, we used to use live stream and they've changed what they're doing. So we did YouTube live and I was so nervous, like, was it going to work? And I had like 600 people sign up from around the world to watch my 2-day retreat a few weeks ago. And I was so nervous and I was like, wait a second. Tony Robbins calls it changing your state. So you have to catch yourself in that state and look at what your thoughts are and let your feelings be your guide. So when you're sitting down to work on something in your business, you're planning a workshop, you're doing some of the things Carmen teaches you, maybe to, I guess you teach public speaking and things like that, or giving presentations, and those are all the kind of things I love to teach. But when you sit down there, you got to let your thoughts kind of see what's there. So if they're happy thoughts and you're feeling energized, great, let that fuel your actions. But if you're thinking negative thoughts, you have to first stop, take a breath, and interrupt that pattern, because again, remember, what you're thinking about reinforces the chemical and biochemical reactions in your brain, the serotonin, dopamine, all these things that are being released. So first become aware of the thought, catch it. Okay, sitting down to write a newsletter, just told myself, oh, no one's going to accept the consultation invitation anyway. Why bother? Oh, wait a minute, catch it. Then you go, okay, well, what is this thought costing me? So see, the brain's wired to keep you with what it knows because that's what it's doing to keep you safe. I mean, if I walk out in front of my house here on 10th Avenue in New York City, cab comes speeding at me, which they often do, your brain says, hey, stop, don't go on the street. But in your business, your brain's saying, oh, stop, don't call that referral partner. What's that costing you? Well, it's costing you money, it's costing you time, it's costing you impact. So as you can reason with your brain and help your brain to see what those negative thoughts are costing you, the brain then thinks, oh, wait a second. Up until now, and again, there only is this present moment, I was saying don't take that action because I didn't want to be vulnerable or feel like a fraud or have them say no because rejection feels bad. Tony Robbins actually also once said that all anyone in life wants is either to look better or to feel better. And that can certainly mean, gratitude and giving and generosity and all that. But you have to really start to think about what's it costing me? What's this thought costing me? And then you turn the thought around. So you do that incrementally, by the way. Like when I used to do health coaching, and I would not tell someone to go stand in the mirror who needed to lose 100 pounds and say, oh, I just lost 100 pounds. You got to think, oh, I'm going to try for that next 2 pounds, the next 2 pounds. So if you're afraid of public speaking, you're not probably going to think about standing in front of Lincoln Center, 2,000 people. You're going to think, hey, how would it feel to maybe just be in front of 2 people giving a presentation about weight loss? How would that feel? So you turn those thoughts around and you reason with yourself, okay, what's a thought I can think right now instead of the negative thought I was thinking so that I feel back in alignment with my group? And then what you ask yourself is this: what's it worth to you to change that thought? So what positive benefit will you get by thinking a positive thought? So let's come back to our newsletter example. Okay, well, you know what? I don't know that not anybody is going to respond to the newsletter. Maybe 2 people are going to read it and call me for a consultation. What's it worth to you and how's it going to feel when you change that thought? So then you want to connect it to your feelings. So the assignment that I give my clients is I always say every morning I want you to get up for 3 minutes. I want you to imagine, close your eyes, imagine the thing that you want to accomplish in your practice as if it's already there in front of you, and feel that feeling in your body, because what you're doing is the thought actually sends out the intention and the feeling draws it back into your present reality. I have a client that I just signed up in one of my new programs, and literally the day that she invested and paid in full in my program, the next day she got a call out of the blue and she's going to be a keynote speaker at the United Nations for a conference. Wow. I mean, she's a coach, and she's, I've told her all about Newcomer. I think she needs to integrate functional things in there as well. So happy to share that with her. But she started to vibrate differently because she invested in herself. So you got to connect what you want to how you're feeling in your body. So one of the things for you to do, in addition to turning these negative thoughts around, reasoning with it and seeing what it's costing you, is to connect that to a positive feeling in your body and try it every day for 2 or 3 minutes. And every single day, strive for 1% growth. I didn't go from being horrified of public speaking to standing on stage at Lincoln Center and at Beacon Theater where I just seen like Pink perform a year before. And now here I am on the same stage that she was. And it took my breath away and I cried because I was like, wow, all those old tapes are just tapes. And if I want to do something different, then I need to change what I think. Like Gandhi said, a man, I'd say a person is about the product of his or her thoughts. What he thinks, he becomes.
Yes, and these are all stories too, really.
They're all stories.
We're telling stories that don't even exist about the person who won't like our newsletter, won't sign up for our school, or doesn't want to buy our program, or what. That's a story you're telling. That person doesn't even exist.
Yeah, and one of the things I really appreciate about you, Carmen, and just your work is that you're very honest and you share that you have, your stuff like everyone else does, but it takes courage to open a school and take a stand for helping those who are not getting the help they need other places, which is what we do. And like I like this picture because there's all these different faces of this woman, and like you can choose which one you want, and you can snap out of things so quickly. I mean, my dad actually told me, my dad passed away a few years ago, and he said to me that I'm really proud of you. And he said, really, it all comes down to love. When you can give love to one person, say he was having a bad day and, you help them out or smile and say, hey, your earrings are really pretty today. They take that love vibration with them and they spread it. And I went to the store the other day to get some water and a banana, and the person behind the counter was really grumpy and mean. I could have gone into that energy and been like, what the hell is your problem? And I said, hey, oh wait, I really love your necklace. That's so pretty. Where'd you get it? And her whole mood just changed. And so what's she going to do to the next person who comes in?
Yes. I love that. I said there was a woman at Walmart, and I have to share the story real quick, but not like from a physical appearance, if someone looked at her, you wouldn't go, oh, she's pretty. You know what I mean? She was a very basic person and seemed very down and whatnot. And I remember saying to her, there was something about what she was wearing or something. I said, I love that color on you. It lights your whole face up. Well, that's the last thing that it did, right?
Yeah.
But she goes, really? And I said, yes. And she goes, well, I never knew about this color. And like her whole demeanor changed, you know? But just by saying that one thing, can you imagine what we could do if we just got outside of ourselves a little bit, right?
Exactly. And that's the thing is that, you know, I often think about it as, you know, I'm from a big family. I have 6 sisters and 3 brothers, and my sisters love shoes and handbags. And my sister would always say, oh, these new pair of shoes are killing me. But a month later, the shoes fit her fine. There's no more blisters. And that's kind of what it is. You're having to try on like a new outfit. And at first it might feel weird because your shirt's kind of tight or your shoe's wrong, but then it becomes the new version of you. And that's what I think is so important. So, I mean, again, I cover a lot more of this in the free thing that I've given all of you guys, and Carmen posted the link there. But you know, I really give you a bunch of exercises, what I call my mindset reconditioning method. I teach you how to change your vibration. So I really do recommend you use the stuff I gave you, because obviously Carmen and I can help you, support you, but we're not walking into your bedroom every morning and taking you to make you do your meditation. So it's up to you to do it. And listen, it takes practice and consistency. Carmen did not build this amazing school by just sitting there waiting for it to happen. I didn't build this wonderful business by not being consistent, not taking action. You can't just burn incense and make a vision board. Those are great. I do all of those things. You also have to get off your butt and do something about it, and you have to have support. You get a lot of support from Carmen. Certainly, I'm here to support all of you. I'll give you my email in the presentation here, but just really, it all comes down to you, right? So that said, I did want to give you some practical tips that are kind of segue into growing your list, because, you know, certainly we're talking about becoming a new version of you. And, you know, the thing is, you take that you with you every single where that you go. So what I think is important to consider is, well, how can I get some people to the door so that I feel more confident about building my list? And that's really the golden rule of marketing is, how do you build your list? So how do you get that person who already wants and needs what you have to offer? And listen, they have to want it. You can't be out there trying to swim upstream convincing people they need it if they're not ready. They have to want it, right? And so you also have to stop worrying about these bright, shiny object things. Listen, you're getting great content from Carmen. She's giving you what you need, not what you don't need. Stop going and spending $1 million on Facebook ads or taking every single other, you know, aromatherapy course, or, oh, I'm a health coach, or I'm a life coach. I'm going to go study aromatherapy first, and then I'll be ready to grow my business. Don't worry about all the bright, shiny stuff. It really comes back to the basics, and that's what I teach in my program, and that's what I'm really known for, is helping coaches to understand the simple steps to take to make your business work. You know, I have an email system. I have a way to do presentations. I have a virtual assistant. I have a spreadsheet that tracks my income, and I have a web person. That's it. You don't have to spend $1 million on every single thing. It really comes down to this: having your vision for your business, having your money mindset on board, having some technology systems to support you, client billing, or, sending out email systems, putting a marketing plan together, being organized, and having support. And then, which we're going to talk about today, is finding prospects, generating leads, and getting their contact information. So really, building trust, making offers, generating income. It all comes down to having your vision and your intention and the systems to support it. And then having a way, like it says at the very bottom there, where it says finding these prospects. Like, where are they? Who knows them? How do you get them in the door authentically and lovingly? You're not being a non-persuasive, non-authentic person. You have to be really who you are. How do you get them in the door so you can then build trust, make offers to them, and then generate income? And I'm a big fan of systems, because I think that systems save yourself time, energy, and money. So if you're doing all your emails by hand, or you're not wanting to spend the $20 a month on Constant Contact or MailChimp or Infusionsoft, you're doing it all by hand, how much could you be getting in terms of new referral contacts with those 5 hours you're spending because you didn't want to waste, quote unquote, $20?
Yeah, or 35 on Synduit, by the way, everybody.
Yeah, things like that. And listen, I was the person who didn't do that at the beginning.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I'm going to save money, and I don't want to spend that. Listen, one of my coaches once said, Robert, the $300 a month that you're saving by doing it all yourself without a virtual assistant, those 10 hours, you could go out and get 20 new clients, and you could quadruple what you're paying for a virtual assistant. So you have to think return on investment, all right?
Yes.
So the first step in list building is start to research, where are my ideal clients, people who want and need what I have to offer. So I'm sure Carmen gives you a lot of support with that, but it is important to think about, well, where are they hanging out and who knows them? So here's some simple things that I do. Well, listen, when I started out as a health coach years ago, I think it was maybe 2002, I sat down on Yahoo. There was no Google at the time, and I typed in men coaching New York men group, because my men were my target market. I typed in men event, men's sports, and I looked at all these different places that were in New York, and I started making lists of people that I could connect with and say, hey, I'm Robert. I'd love to learn more about how I can help you and help people that come to your gym, that come to your men networking events, that come to the Chamber of Commerce. So just start to do some research and make a list, and then make it a goal to reach out to a certain number of people every week to say, hey, here's who I am. By the way, what I first did was I made these press kits, and I was like, gosh, I'm an amazing health coach, and I pushed it on people. Hey, I want to do a workshop for you. Or, hey, tell your clients all about me. My doctor, very lovely man, very cool doctor, back then he said, Robert, you know we all love you. Thing is, you got to not be pushing something on someone. You have to lovingly welcome them to come and learn more about you. Yeah. So it's not about pushing, it's about pulling them in to learn more. So as you're doing your research, you want to think about, what referral partners do I know now, or who can I get to know? Like, ask somebody to clients, where do I hang out? What websites do I go to? You know, look at the Chamber of Commerce, you know, look at health publications, look at websites that your niche goes to. Do some research and figure out, how can I see where my people are going, and then how can I get in front of them in the right way where I can research. And then second step is, okay, so you've made a list of people that you want to connect with. You've found these 3 different networking events that maybe your ideal clients are going to. You have this really cool referral partner, maybe a chiropractor who you'd love to tell about your coaching practice. Well, before you go out and start talking to them, you want to make sure you have a mechanism to store and capture email and content information. So I'm not sure which one you recommend, Carmen, but there's like Constant Contact, MailChimp. What do you think is really helpful for your people?
Yeah, I recommend Synduit. So because Synduit has all of it. It has the marketing, the landing pages, the webinars, the slide decks. They've got it all done for health coaches. And and I think that, you know, they're willing to do whatever they can to improve their platform. So Synduit is the one I recommend. And if I were health coaching right now, I would not hesitate to dump everything I'm doing and just sign up with them for all of those pieces. Yeah.
It's important though, because, you know, if you're going to do a talk for someone who, like, maybe a chiropractor is going to have you come in and talk to 50 people, or a yoga studio, and you're going to be getting all those emails, you don't want to be cutting and pasting, and you want to have an automated system that's going to let you do that, going to let you store the information. What you also want to have is, you want to have some kind of a free giveaway to help them get in your world. So when I was doing health coaching years ago, I had this really cool handout that came with like the 6 steps to reduce your stress. And it came with like a little 5-minute bust your stress at work meditation. And when someone went to my website, they could enter their name and email, and I gave them a free giveaway. And then once they were in my email list, I would lovingly and authentically and with integrity let them know I could help them, build trust with them. And that's the thing, you know, building a business it's about building relationships, because, you know, think about it. And I shared this joke once, but I gave a presentation once. I think it was at Javits Center. And I said, well, you know, building a business is like relationships. You know, usually you don't just meet someone and move in with them the next day. You build trust. You know, you have to kind of build a relationship. And I said, anyone in this audience really met their partner, moved in the next day, and one woman raised her hand.
Oh my God.
And I said, well, maybe that's a whole different class I'll teach, but how to get someone overnight. And she laughed, but, you know, it's still, I wonder if she's still with the person. That's another side of it. That's the thing, is you got to build trust. I mean, listen, you know, if I say that I say, oh my gosh, you got to go to Carmen's school. It's amazing. She's fantastic. You know, people are like, oh, well, I trust Robert equals I trust Carmen. So yeah, I'm going to call Carmen. What if you just happen to, like, I just give someone my business card, and, you know, Carmen just has a business card of mine laying around, but she doesn't tell the person about me. They're going to want to build trust with me. Maybe they're going to want to see my newsletter. Perhaps they want to get something free from me so they can see what it is that I offer and how it's a benefit to them. You want to just make sure you create something cool that's a free giveaway. You know, I recommend either like a PDF, you can have a video, you can have an audio. It really just comes down to whatever you feel comfortable with. But start where you are. If nothing else, get a newsletter. You know, if nothing else, create like a free handout, like it's a PDF that you give away when you give a workshop. And always make sure you're getting someone's email content information. If you just give them your card and hope they're going to write you, I can let you know people are really busy. They're very busy. And
they wash them a lot. Like,
yeah, I know.
At least I have. I'm like, what is all that paper in my washing machine? Oh,
I did laundry a few days ago, and I found like something that I don't know what it was. It was all eaten up in like a cat toy in my laundry. I'm like, oh, well, that's funny how that got in there. But the thing is, you know, you just want to be consistently putting yourself out there in front of people who want what you have and need what you want what you have, and then you find ways when you're out there to give them something that will allow them to come back to be on your list. And listen, it's not about being pushy. I pride myself in being someone who's very authentic. I'm not one of those people who's like, oh, only 2 minutes left, 1 minute left to sign up. Oh, $500 discount only for today. I hate that kind of stuff because it's just so disingenuous. And I'll tell you, there are other places out there that are doing that kind of stuff. Oh, this month only, this special savings. There's always a special saving. It's like, just be real. People know.
Listen, we do that. Our team does that, but this is what I tell people.
Yeah.
We're going to do it again.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is you're honest and you're upfront about it. I do the same thing. I offer a savings in my programs, and I say, yeah, this is the savings I offered for the last program, and it does expire on this certain date. And yes, I'm not going to launch this program again for another 6 months. But you tell them that you're doing it instead of just trying to slide it in. You just be upfront. And I think it's like Neil Donald Walsh, perhaps, I think the author, he tells people how much he spends, how much his cost is on the books he sells, because he wants people to know what you do. And yes, we all love savings, and those kind of cutoffs are important because it motivates you to take action. But you just do it and be honest about it and let people know that you're the real thing. And that's one of the reasons I respect Carmen. She's just real. She says what's real. She gives above and beyond what she promises in her work. And I feel I do the same. And so for all of you out there, really, your first step is not trying to get that client to say yes. It's actually getting them to the door. So writing articles. If you write an article, say for someone else's newsletter, or remember when I started out health coaching, when I used to do health coaching years ago, I found there was this guy in New York. He did these things called the Min Event, and I noticed he had an email newsletter. And I was like, okay, well, how about working smarter, not harder? Why don't I offer to write an article for him for his next newsletter for these men on how to have more energy when you're stressed out at work? And I included a link to my website at the bottom of that article, which then allowed them to come back and get my free handout. So great thing to do is have something you give away for free. When you do networking, make sure you're going to do networking in a place that your ideal clients are hanging out, not where it's just random, hoping to get someone there. So do your research and use your time wisely. Always important to get someone else's card. And then when you get home, send them something to thank them for talking with you. Give them something of value. Make sure that you're doing that. Social media is great. You can do presentation. You can do Facebook Live. You can post your free giveaway where applicable in certain groups. And of course, if the group says no marketing, please respect that. Mm-hmm. You want to always be respectful because, I'm a big fan of that good energy and giving always comes back. If you're going expecting something from someone, it's just not good energy, and that's all you're gonna get back is just disappointment. One of my friends once said to me, he said that if you follow your dreams and lead with your heart and take action, it's all gonna work. If you're chasing the money, all you're gonna feel is constantly disappointed. Listen, I'm a big fan of feeling good in my income. I feel blessed in my abundance. At the same time, the more that you earn equals the more impact that you're having, and the more you can give away. I do a lot of work for animal charities. I love animals. I was bullied as a kid, so I do a lot of volunteer work, and I give money to companies that are anti-bullying. In fact, one of my goals for building my business so successfully is I'd like to actually open a center here in New York for kids who have no home, who are bullied, who are disadvantaged, and teach them life-building skills. I mean, those things are really important to me. So I want you to know that the more you get, the more you get back.
Yeah, and I found, when I did a launch one time that I did significantly well at, which I was very, I'm blown away. It was like I think we ended up doing $38,000 on the launch without one single Facebook ad, without anything but me showing up and saying, hey, this is what I'm doing. This is what I'm going to give you. This is what my promise is to you. Yeah. And so when that happened, I was expecting to just break even with my own time and the content that I'd put in. I turned around and immediately was like, I have a check for, $500 for the Humane Society. Can you come by and grab it? Here's where I'm going to give money to the homeless. Like, for me, that was a sign from the universe. When I was blessed, turn around and bless somewhere. Yeah. So it continues. Absolutely. Yeah. I
love that you said that. There's a movie I watched called Happiness, and it talks about what makes people happy. As long as your base needs are met and you have food and water, what actually makes someone happy is a sense of passion for doing what they love, a sense of community and connection and support around them, and altruism, contribution. If you're ever having a bad day, go do something nice for someone, and it totally snaps you up, because we're wired as spiritual beings to love each other and support each other. And I really do believe that every single living being on this planet is connected. And human beings, of course, we have a higher level of consciousness because we're alive and we sense and we think. And I believe that the people on the planet are suffering energetically because we're all connected. Everyone is affected. So that's why I think now in these interesting, lack of a better word, times, we have to take a stand for what we believe in. We have to help each other. So if you're sitting at home waiting for the right time to call that referral partner, or waiting to implement some of the tips Carmen gives you or programs she teaches you to launch, you're doing a disservice to humanity. And I mean that in all honesty, because we have to help each other.
Yeah,
and
don't hold your gifts.
Yeah, and you have to give and you have to share. And again, then it comes back to your business and taking these steps. And, public speaking, referral partners, these are all things you can learn about. Obviously, these all could be their own presentations. But finally, go schedule that class at the local health center. Call that referral partner, the yoga teacher, and say, hey, I'd like to come by and do 45 minutes for you about how to have more energy or how to get off sugar, and I'm going to invite everyone that comes to that class to join my email list or come to a consultation. So start implementing these things and doing it, because you know what? He who fails to plan is planning to fail.
Yes.
That's really what it comes down to, is you have to plan, you have to get support and make things happen. And I already showed you that, but that's my email, just so you know. If you guys want to send me an email, tell me what you were excited about. Carmen already posted. This is actually the full link, not the tiny URL link, but if you want to email me, feel free, robert@robertnotter.com. Happy to hear what was helpful for you. And again, you can get all those bonuses that I promised, that landing page that you already saw that Carmen posted. And I do want you to use those tips, use them, do the meditation that I teach you. I guide you through how to change your energy systems in your body. I'm telling you, stuff happens like miraculously when you do, and you are going to find that everything starts to shift for you. So
yeah.
I'm just really thrilled that I can give this to everyone. And I just want you to do it, though. You have to ask for support.
Yes.
Sitting home waiting for the right time is not going to benefit you, your income, or the clients that you're meant to serve.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes. Yeah. Let me touch on something real quick. Where you had, you just slide up and you had on there public speaking. And let me say this, you guys, like I just had a call with Freddie, who's an Institute graduate, right before you and I got on. He lives in New York City, and said he was at a coffee shop one time when we were talking, and he could see Times Square. So he must have been right down the street from you.
Yeah.
But he did a speaking gig out in Las Vegas to like 600 doctors recently. And the doctors were like asking that question. They were like, how does a health coach even fit into this world that we're living in today? And he had all these amazing ideas. So let me say this, you guys, those people that want to know where a health coach fits in, they're out there, but they don't know that you're there until you present yourself to them.
Absolutely.
So get bold with it. I mean, make some phone calls to your local hospital and say, I want to speak to the director of the hospital. I have some great ideas. How do I get in the door for a meeting? I think it comes down to, and tell me if you see this too, Robert, but just the utter lack of confidence people have in themselves and what they have to offer. They don't lack the knowledge.
Yeah.
They don't lack the ability to do these amazing things. They lack the confidence in themselves, right? Are you seeing that too?
Absolutely. And that's the thing, though. In my programs, when people are always so impressed that when I teach about marketing, I honestly think success in business is 30% marketing and 70% mindset. Because I can teach you all the best steps in the world, what to say when you call that person, when you call the hospital, how to do your newsletter, how to do a presentation. If you're sitting there doubting yourself, because remember all those tapes that you were given before, but we aren't born thinking that we're not good enough. You ever look at a baby? That baby knows it's a divine, wonderful being in this world who can do anything. But well-meaning, so to speak, people, sometimes not so well-meaning, teach us, boys don't do this, girls don't do that. Oh, you're the wrong age, you're the wrong that. Oh, it didn't work that time. Or parents who say, like my dad used to say, oh, you can't spend any extra. You got to save for a rainy day. You never know what's going to go wrong. That's because his parents were part of the Depression. So they, in a well-meaning way, said, oh, save because something could go wrong. But when I came to my business, I didn't want to spend money on the newsletter system. I was doing it all by hand. Even when I studied to be a coach, I was like, oh, I'm going to put that off for another year. But I was like, you know what? What am I waiting for? And what's the worst that could happen? You're not going to die if you call the hospital and they're not ready to meet with you yet. Call another hospital. It's not rocket science, but you have to do it. And that's the thing, though, is there's this one thing here that isn't working, and all these other things over here, if you would just turn your vision slightly. Like I don't play golf because I'm not, as I mentioned, very athletically inclined, but if you just move the golf club, I used to do putt-putt, and if you just move it a centimeter down the way, it might at the beginning only go a little bit further, but a mile down, it's a whole different direction. So you got to look at the business like just adjusting the rod a little bit.
Yes, I love that you said that too. When you were saying that about what's the worst that can happen, that is one of my famous sayings when I work with clients one-on-one and when I mentor coaches. I say, what is the absolute worst thing that's going to happen? Think of the worst thing you can think of. And usually they don't have an answer. Yeah. And I say exactly what you said. I go, what, you're going to die? And how do we know that's a bad thing? Right? Because if you have belief and you're spiritual and you have a higher power, then who knows what's waiting for you if death is your biggest fear.
Yeah.
But I love that you said that. And I know this is why this is such a great collaboration, because and I love that you didn't get into this niching stuff with the marketing and all of that, because I teach people that if you have a heartbeat, if someone has a heartbeat, they're a potential client. Yeah. If someone wants better health, they're a potential client. They don't have to want better health and digestion or better health in their skin. They just have to want to be and feel better.
And they have to know you exist.
That's right. And you have to want and know that you can help them. That's really all that's missing with that partnership, right? That symbiotic dance that's going to happen. And yeah, and even Jennifer is saying mindset's totally where it's at. The rest are semantics. And yeah, Joan is saying, you know, those gifts look amazing. Thank you so much. But this is true for all of us. And this is, let's think about what we're bringing to our clients, right, Robert? Like, what are we bringing to our clients? Are we bringing, oh, I can't do this. Oh, then they're not going to believe they can do it.
Well, you know, the thing is, you know, human beings, you never meet someone you're like, I just don't jive with them, or something's off about this person. Something that I didn't get into, which is something I really love, is sort of the quantum sort of field. And we are all actually giving off, our cells are little universes, and we're giving off vibration. We have protons, neurons, electrons, and our bodies are vibrating at a certain frequency. And when you're thinking about fear and doubt and lack, you're actually going to attract people who are going to mirror that. And it's funny because when I work with my coaching program, she just graduated, and she's a life coach, and she was telling me about how, you know, she used to not charge enough, and she would charge like $50 a month for her coaching thing. And I was like, what are you doing? And she knows everything to do to help someone get better. But she had this tape. I call it like the money thermostat. If you want to make more money, you got to turn the thermostat up, because your body keeps bringing you back down to what you're used to.
Yes.
So as we began to realign those things she was thinking about, she began to just feel differently, which meant that her feelings were connecting to her goals, and she began vibrating differently. So when she started owning her worth, guess what kind of clients she stopped attracting? The ones who said, oh, I can't afford it. I'll have to think about it. So you're giving out energy and vibration every second of every day. And if you're focusing on what you're not going to get, you're focusing on fear, you're letting those negative feelings be your primary vibration, you're going to actually attract that kind of person. It's like people who have relationship issues. They keep attracting that same person over and over.
I will not be that person, by the way.
Me neither, and I did for a long time.
Yeah, that is over for me. I've learned my lesson after 17 years of marriage. I learned the lesson, universe. So don't bring me another one of those, right?
And because you learned the lesson, you're already vibrating differently, and you're attracting different results, whatever it's personal life or business life. And that's the thing, is that, you know, people always wonder why they keep getting the same thing in their business, or the same client that can't afford it, because you believe that's what you're going to get, even unconsciously. So you then vibrate that, so that's what you attract.
Yes.
And it's fascinating to me, because as I finally started investing, and listen, I invested in a coach years ago for my business. I spent $12,000 on a coaching program that I did not have.
Yeah, I've been there.
Yeah, I put it on 2 credit cards. You know, my income went from $60,000 to $250,000 in 1 year, because I took the steps, obviously, and got support, but I changed my vibration. I stopped thinking about lack. I thought about what I want, because you can always focus on either what's not working or what is working. And then you're going to make yourself feel bad. You're going to take the wrong actions, because they're going to be aligned with either of those 2 things. And then you're going to feel bad, and then it's not going to be in alignment. And I think that's the key that's missing for a lot of sort of affirmation, secret kind of things, is you have to obviously think the good thoughts, take the action. You have to feel what it's going to feel like. So
absolutely.
You know, I'm sure you have your own version of that, Carmen, where you have to kind of imagine, put yourself in that place of, where my body am I going to feel when I'm standing. Actually, when I did my retreat here in New York a few weeks ago, for a month, every morning I would close my eyes and imagine how I was going to feel standing in front of those people. When I got there, the room looked exactly as I had pictured it in my eye, with exactly the amount of people. And I was like, holy crap, this stuff works. And I know it works, obviously, but listen, I think Carmen will share this with you as well. We're all human. You know, we have our challenges. I'm sure Carmen gets nervous about certain things in her life, just like I do. That's okay, because if you don't work towards something, you don't appreciate it as much. You know, I think, I'm trying to remember if it was Beyonce or some famous person said something about how they make their kids have a job and don't just give them everything, because they have to work towards it to appreciate it. Kind of like the butterfly analogy. If you pull it out of the cocoon before it gets to strengthen its wings, it's not going to be able to fly. So sometimes your challenges are your biggest teachers. And listen, I've had my fair share. I mean, being bullied when I was a kid. I actually ended up in the hospital for a month in traction, and then in a wheelchair from being bullied.
What?
Yeah, it's a long story, but I had to skip 5th grade because I fractured my leg so badly from being bullied.
Oh my gosh, I was bullied too, but I mean, all they did was kick my crutches out from underneath me on the snow up in Minnesota and torment me at lunchtime. Like, none of that happened. Yeah. But I also got an apology 25 years later.
From did you? Good for you.
I did. He came and found me.
I know what my bully is, yeah. The thing is, though, you know, things happen to us, good and bad, and some really bad. But the only thing that can change, though, is how you let that morph who you become. And I honestly feel I would not be a coach or a mindset teacher, what I'm doing now, had I not had challenges that really molded who I became as a person, because I now have compassion. I know what it's like to not feel accepted. I have all those things that have happened to me, and you can either wallow in it, where you can be like, hey, universe, it happened. I can't change it. How can I make a difference now in my own life? And how can I stand up to people who are feeling the same way and tell them there's another way?
Yes.
And be a model. And like you said a minute ago, like, these doctors were like amazed at how health coaching can fit in. And think about if he didn't have the courage to go and do that presentation. I'm sure he was scared before he did it, but he did it anyway.
Yeah.
And if you're not willing to be a little uncomfortable, nothing is going to change in your business or in your life.
Yeah. You guys remind me of each other with your passion and your, just the, your confidence and stuff like that. You guys are very similar. I mean, you might even know each other. Who knows? But
Yeah,
I mean,
who knows?
You don't know anybody named Freddie, huh?
It's actually a pretty small town, believe it or not. Yeah.
Really? Yeah. So, So one other thing I also wanted to say is this, if you don't feel that confidence and you don't feel that, that feeling that we're telling you that you got to get to, you can pretend until it happens.
Yeah.
You can talk yourself into it at some point. The more messages that you change in the dialogue that you give to yourself, eventually one day you're going to be like, I no longer have that programming. It truly is programmed into us. It is. It's 100%. And my therapist will tell you, and I'm not shy about telling people, I love therapy. Like, I think everyone should have a therapist that can see them from the outside to help them see their blind spots.
Absolutely.
And she was telling me, we were talking about this yesterday, that she said that when we are programmed as little tiny children, right? We come out, like you said, perfect. We're perfect.
Yeah.
And then our well-meaning intended people start to reprogram us. They program, they change the program in our minds. And then we also program ourselves for survival. So as we're growing up or we're going through traumas or specific things, we develop beliefs to survive whatever it is we're going through.
Yeah.
And she said some of the things that you now believe as a grown woman were things that you taught yourself and you programmed yourself to believe to survive some of the things you went through as a child.
It's all about survival. We're doing what we needed to do at that time because that's what needed to happen to keep us safe.
Yes, absolutely. And so we can undo those negative things, you guys. And when we start to drop the negative baggage and and I call it my backpack of crap, really. When we take the crap out, you think of them, each one of them as a boulder, like the boulder in your slide, your slide of doubt. We relieve ourselves of that heaviness, of that disbelief that we can be successful. Yeah. When you do that, everything changes. Yeah. Everything. It's that simple, right?
You become a new person. That's why I love that slide I showed about your new personality. But I want you to think about something too, and this piggybacks what you shared, is that when I close my eyes, and like I happen to love guacamole. I love guacamole and salsa and flax crackers. And when I think about it, my mouth starts to water. The mind doesn't know the difference between what you're thinking about and what's actually in front of you.
Yes, so that's why lemons do that.
Yeah, exactly. That's why you have to do this whole feeling piece that I've touched on, which I'll teach you in that giveaway, is that you have to imagine how it's going to feel when you have what you have in front of you, because the brain doesn't know what is or isn't there. It only sees what it sees in its picture. And then what happens sort of metaphysically is then things just start to line up. Like my client, who all of a sudden got a call to speak at the United Nations because she started doing the tips I taught her and she decided to invest in herself. She changed something energetically. And I almost think it's like you downloaded a different version of yourself for your brain. You became a different person. Yes. And all those beliefs are just tapes. And interestingly enough, they're all hardwired in the brain. I was watching this show on Netflix about neuroplasticity, and there was a man who was missing an arm, and he had the phantom pain syndrome. So what they did is they took a box with a mirror, and they had him put his hand.
I remember that. Yes.
To look and see if his other hand was actually there in the mirror, and they did some mindset work with him, and his phantom pain went away. There's another lady who actually was on some kind of a toxic medication that actually caused her to lose her sense of equilibrium, so she couldn't balance herself. They hooked up some kind of a thing. This was some kind of a therapy, and they hooked up something to her tongue, which did some kind of like electrical stimulation that helped her use her tongue to find balance. And through reprogramming her brain, the part of her brain that's now no longer there with the ears giving her equilibrium, the brain created an entirely new section of neurons that gave her equilibrium without her equilibrium device being there.
That's brain, amazing.
I get chills when I talk about this stuff because I love teaching this. And I try to, in a practical way, share these things in my programs, is that, listen, your brain is a series of programs. And interestingly enough, I used to be a computer programmer in my former life. So I got to see if this, then that. And that's what our brain is. If call referral partner equals get rejected equals don't take action. So you have to change the tape or nothing's going to change.
Yeah. And let me throw this out for you guys too, along with with all the, I'm going to write myself a note so I don't forget, along with the amazing gifts you're giving. I make a book suggestion to everybody that's struggling with that's a skeptic about this stuff. And that's fine to be skeptical. It's okay to be skeptical as long as you take some action to start proving yourself otherwise. But the book by Pam Grout, E Squared. Have you read that book?
I haven't read it, but I've heard good things about it.
Yeah. It's that's the first thing that really got me off the woo-woo, but onto the woo-woo bus. You know, I watched The Secret. I watched Chasing the Dark Side of the Shadow Chasers and all that. That book proved to me that I had the ability to manifest whatever. And, you know, we're not going off into The Secret or anything. We're going to wrap up here in a minute. But if you can find a way to hook that kind of belief into your business, you will change things. It's undeniable. It will happen.
Yeah, that's true. And I think that's the thing is that the first step to having more success is seeing what you want, doing it incrementally. You can't go from, I would never have imagined that I would be doing sold out lectures online to 500, 600 people. I mean, my old self, but as I incrementally tried on those new belief systems, those new shirts, those new shoes, I was able to grow into that. And I pictured what I wanted to have even when it wasn't there. And that's the thing you have to do is you have to intend what you want and feel that you're going to get it, take the steps, get the support, but you have to begin to open yourself up to the possibility that maybe it'll happen again. You're going to die if you give the talk. I mean, the sun is not going to stop spinning, or the earth's not going to stop spinning. You know, the sun's not going to blow up tomorrow if you give a presentation that goes wrong. My first presentation, I got no clients. I had 3 people show up. I got marker on my face. I dropped tea on someone's shoe. It's just like, it is what it is. My mom, I called her crying and she's like, you know what? You can either learn from what didn't go well and do something different. You can stay upset and feel bad about yourself.
Yeah.
What choice do you want to make? And I was like, she just told me.
Yeah. and that people ask me that all the time. Like my coaches will say, what if I only get 2 people? Well, then that's 2 people you didn't have before. Exactly. Then next time you're going to learn from that. It's practice, call it practice. And those 2 people might tell 2 others or 10 others. You know, so we need to stop what-ifing ourselves to death.
You never know. And also stop comparing yourself to others.
Yeah.
I was not the first person in my coaching years ago, health coaching, to have a full practice. I put it off. I didn't know enough. And I was like, what the hell am I doing? I got to pay rent in New York. And what's the worst that could happen? Just because someone else is further along than you in their practice, it's like taking a French class. When I speak German, I didn't know how to speak German until I took a class. So someone who's already been in German class or French class for 4 years, of course they're going to speak better than I, but I can take the class and practice.
Yes.
Stick with it and surround myself with people who speak it so I can practice speaking it. It's the same thing in this. You have to also, one last thing, look at your environments. If you're with a bunch of naysayers who complain, I can't do it, there's never enough, change your people. Get some people who are there and want to support you like you do. And I know Carmen gives a lot of support. You have to really be part of this community and stop people who are naysaying in your life. Bless them with love, come back to what you want and know that it can happen.
Yeah. Isn't it like, what is the famous saying? You're a product of the people you spend the most time with.
Yeah, absolutely.
So spend time with successful people. And my people know I'm a butt kicker.
Yeah.
I'm a tough love butt kicker. And it's because I'm not going to push you off the ledge. I'm going to kind of just nudge you a little closer to it. And then I'm going to give you a shove. If I see you standing at the edge too much and I know your greatness, I will eventually shove you. But because I want you out there doing things that are going to help other people, there's no other reason for it.
And when I look back at my $50,000 as an entrepreneur now and a much higher level of success now, I look at the person I've become in the process, and it's not about counting the money. It's about the abundance is one part of your happiness, the circle of your life equation. And again, income equals impact, and the more you're earning means the more you can give away, more people you can help, and really. At the end of the day, I go to bed at night and I have gratitude, and gratitude is the key to attracting more good, by the way.
Yeah.
I thank the universe for all that I have that day. Even if I had a shitty day, I thank the universe for lessons I've learned. And when you have gratitude, that's the key that unlocks attracting more.
Yes. I love what did you just say? Income equals what?
Impact. Income equals impact.
Yes. I love that. That's absolutely 100% true. This has been great. Like I could talk about this stuff all day long. This has been awesome.
You. I just love that we're so of like mind and you get it and you share that and you're living your purpose. And I'm honored that we connected finally and we get to support each other, and I'm going to be supporting my people as well with the gifts of what you do. And I just love that the universe always vibration, like attracts like. Right?
Yes, I agree. And Joan says, this is so boosting. Thanks for the great gifts, Robert. Thank you. This is what moves the needle, and we all need this. Yes, I need my butt kicked, Joan says. This is great. I mean, this has been amazing. So you guys, Thank you everyone for participating. But Robert, thank you for all of this amazing information. Just the conversation. It's just been great. And I know you and I are going to connect outside of this webinar. And yeah, I'm seeing lots of good feedback. A wonderful webinar, Self-Doubt and Negative Thinking Kills Dreams. Thank you so much. Thank you. And much love to you both. And much love to everyone. And Robert, I will talk to you outside of this webinar again. And we'll see.
Great. Thank you so much, Carmen. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Bye,
Lots of love to you all.
Thank you. Bye-bye.